afterwards we go on again, no way we would be wiped out. That was clear. And it was together with it when I saw the first enemy of this, going a bit off my script here, in the wood where I had been lost because there was fighting lion, and it was at the very end of the war, the very last day actually, there was still fighting. And we had been hiding in the woods, and then American soldiers came. And the first thing we did, it was like this. And now I was waiting as a child. I remember it quite clearly. When are they going to shoot us? Oh, I hope it isn't going to hurt. I hope it's not going to hurt. And then the soldier said to me, okay, kid, how are you doing? And you thought, holy cow, what's that? Totally different from what you had expected. So the next reaction was, oh, he is pretending. They will still shoot us, but they will probably do it more secretly or something. But nothing happened. But if this is taught to you, and you hear that from adults, day after day, you believe it. On the other hand, you mustn't forget, children are selfish. I have to have teenagers no more. Didn't come across a joke. I said, you mustn't forget, children are selfish. Teenagers no more. I was looking out for fun, for a treat after dinner, for acceptance by my playmates and by my teacher. I fought with my sisters, I hated working in the garden, and I listened to my stepmother worrying about her 3 brothers who were fighting at the front. As everybody else, I was hoping the war would be over, and fathers, brothers, and my uncles would come home and be safe. The Führer, in his many broadcasts, assured us that we would win the war. No question about it. Now when I learned about the bombing of the German cities and the deaths of civilians, the hatred for the enemy died. You must imagine that now bombs are falling of people, relatives, you know, they are killed, civilians that live like you in the city. So you think they can only be the fault of the enemy. Who else would do that, right? Not they want to come and free us. And then when Hitler marched into Russia, the Führer told us it was necessary to protect us from the Bolsheviks, because they were determined to reign the entire world, communism, which was true anyway. So there was again a tremendous fear that we knew we had to take any suffering at home, food, eat, etc., because otherwise the Bolsheviks would come and they would definitely not give us a good life. They would again enslave us or kill us. My father's car was early on in the war confiscated. Later his bicycle was confiscated, and his skis for the Russian front. We accepted that. Yeah, the soldiers needed them. Sure. Food became short and shorter. And as children, we were always trying to snatch a piece of bread here or have a little piece of sausage somewhere. We were always hungry, I may say that. In school, we were taught to look out for spies and saboteurs. Because of saboteurs, the Russian front wasn't moving so well, because saboteurs were blowing up the gas before it reached the tankers. The wrong ammunition was sent to the wrong battalion, etc. Saboteurs, they were really making the war harder than it should be. So saboteurs were also very much hated, and you had to look out for them. If you knew anything, heard anything, you were for sure to report that. In our village, only one woman was under suspicion. She listened to enemy radio. And they would have picked her up, the SS would have picked her up, if not at that time the evacuation order came through. Again, like from one day to the next, January 45, in the morning, the party official comes into our house and says you have to be packed in 1 hour. You may take 10 pounds each of luggage and leave, because the enemy, the Russians, have invaded the province, and they can be here in very little time. We had no idea, because on the radio it was always said, oh, we fight those Russians back, yes, they're coming closer, but no way will they ever touch our fatherland. And they did. They were right there. So we were evacuated on an open farm trailer with an old farm tractor in front, moving west. And this is quite a long story in my book, and there some things happened that I reported the way we lived, but the way also things were still organized. There were still places where we parked at night and slept in some school or some community hall on straw. There were still feeding stations along the way, mostly from the Red Cross. Not that there was any comfort. We were sitting on this tractor all day long, and it was ice-cold, minus 20 degrees that winter it happened to be. But again, being a child, what bothered me most about this was that it was so boring. I had to sit there with my little brother on my lap, and nothing was happening. It was getting cold, never could walk, but they wouldn't let the children walk, only the adults, mostly female, were allowed to walk, and we had to sit there for hours, and it was cold and nothing to do. I asked my sister, who was 3 years older, just a few months ago, how would you describe our flight? And she says, an adventure. That's children for you. Things were happening. Every day was different. There were convoys of soldiers. We slept in a castle that was already packed with soldiers. And incredible things. We carried a dead man for ages on our tractor because we couldn't bury him. The ground was frozen and we didn't have time to stop. And how this became just a piece of luggage, this dead man. All those things, in a child's mind, adventure, as incredible as it sounds. Now we come to we were told naturally that we would get back. We would be just evacuated in case the Russians would come so close, but in a few weeks the German army would have beaten them back and we would be home again. As it happened, we never got home, because Silesia, the whole province of Silesia, German province, was in 1945 by the Big Three given to Poland, because Russia wasn't going to give that big piece of land back that it had taken from Poland. So to make up, our province was in its entirety given to Poland, and it is totally and absolutely Polish. There is no German sign anywhere. In a matter of a year or two, all German language signs were gone, eliminated. And now it's a part of Poland as any other part. We never got reimbursed for our property or for my father for his business. It was just a kind of payback for having started the war, my sister always says. We have nothing to complain, my eldest sister always says. We have nothing to complain, we have started the war. And she's right, absolutely. And the guilt of having started that war is with me and with my sisters, I know, forever. When I came to Canada in 1963, people asked me, where are you from? Because of my accent, naturally. And I would have loved to say France or Holland or something, but not Germany. And this is still and will always be with me. And I'm sure with generations of Germans that this guilt cannot be ever wiped out. How